In this video, I'm going to give you 15 tips that are going to help you with getting more virtual accounting clients. And I know for sure that these 15 tips are going to help you because in the last 5 days, my company helped accounting firms to attract 3 new 100% virtual clients just in the last 5 days. So we've implemented these strategies. Those companies that now work with the accountants, they never seen them in real life. They just simply had a problem. We just enroll the system into those firms and we help them to get the new clients. So without further ado, I'm going to guide you step by step on what the principles are and what systems we actually implemented to give you the tips. So in this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide with tips and tricks that are going to help you to get more virtual accounting clients. So let's dive right in. Okay, so 15 tips for virtual accounting clients. Let's start with the foundations. Tip number one, trust is absolute key because if you are going to get virtual clients, you are probably used to seeing someone in person, shaking someone's hand and just showing like I am a legit business owner. I'm an actual person that can help you solve your problem. And if you are going to get virtual clients, all of that will fall away. You cannot actively like show someone in real life, hey, I have a legit business, this is my office, this is my team, and this is me. So as an example, I actually closed accounting clients. Well, I'm based in Amsterdam, and those clients are actually based in the US. So you just need to create trust. Without trust, nobody's going to do business for you. Now, you create trust by having specific expertise, case studies, risk reversals, testimonials, and certifications. So if a business owner comes to you and you say, I can help you with XYZ service, I can help you with increasing the margins by implementing my CFO strategies, right? If you do not have any testimonials, you do not have any real expertise, you don't have a case study, you don't have any certifications, or you are not making it absolute risk free, it will become very, very hard for you to actually close the business. In regards with having certifications, I was actually thinking of maybe not adding this in there because it's not necessary, but truth to be told, it will be easier to close a sale because the main thing that people are afraid of when buying online services and giving your credit card information, your financial information to someone that you've never met before, the main fear that they have is this a scammer? Is this a person that is going to take all of my details and ruin my business and financial life, right? That's kind of like the main fear because, again, they need to know for sure that you can be trusted. That's why trust is key. Having a certification proves that you dedicated at least a couple of months of your life to actually getting the QuickBooks Pro Advisor certification or getting your CPA and EA or whatever certification there is. It does increase the trust because you have dedicated at least a couple of weeks or months or maybe even years with getting the certification. Then in terms of the risk reversal, if you have the expertise, but you don't have a lot of experience in that specific field, having a risk reversal is crucial. Because if you are going to talk to a business owner online and tell them, okay, you know what, I can help you save money by checking out what costs are not necessary and increase your margins. But if you are not going to back it up with some form of guarantee or risk reversal, like if we do not save by XYZ after I looked at your books, I will give you a discount or I will work for free for XYZ months, right? So if you do not have some skin in the game, the trust levels will also drop. The same thing with the case study and testimonials, especially testimonials nowadays, they can be faked pretty easily, right? But case studies, like an actual video, an interview, is very hard to actually fake. And you can say, okay, well, this can be AI, but if you put the business name and the full name of the owner in the interview, like we do, for example, for our company, they can do their research themselves. They can see there's an actual person out there on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and I see, oh, this person started their company like 10 years ago. This is actually the person from the interview. Like, this cannot be faked. So to increase trust, you need to have the expertise, right? If you don't even know what the IRS is when you are selling tax services, like, good luck with actually convincing that person with their good luck with actually making a sale. So you need to have the expertise. Case studies, risk reversals, testimonials, certifications are all things that are going to help you to close that deal. Now, if you now realize, okay, I need to have more trust than talking to a local company, because again, local company, you can physically shake someone's hand, you can show them around in your office, and just, it's more personal. Trust will increase. These are things that you actually need. But then tip number three is specific value. Because yes, if you have the expertise and you're going to sell online via like a Zoom meeting, and you have all of this stuff, a local accountant can have that stuff too. So if you are switching from being a local accountant, working with local businesses, you actually need to be better in at least a certain thing. There needs to be a benefit in working with you versus the local accountant, right? So even if you have a very high trust level, if the local accountant around the corner also has the expertise, the risk reversal, the case studies and testimonials, why should someone work with you? That's the real question you actually need to ask for the foundations. Why is someone going to choose you over their local accountant? And the answer to this is specific value. There needs to be a benefit in working with you, right? And you get this specific value by niching down. Now, if you if you have been watching a couple of my videos already, you have heard me talking about niching down quite a lot. And I'm not going, this is a video of like 2 hours alone, but you have to niche down to actually give this specific value. Because if the specific value is not there, someone can also just work with just a general accountant, right? Just local one. So you have to ask yourself why you and not the local accountant. Why should someone work with you? Have you worked already with a restaurant owner who wants to increase margins? Have you already worked with a construction firm who is struggling with cash flow, right? If you do not niche down, there is not an extra reason to work with you. And if you are going to then get appointments, which is kind of like the next phase, it will be way harder for you to get appointments. Because again, if someone gets a cold email or cold call from an accountant and they say, hey, we work with all types of businesses and we do all types of services, then the person getting the call or getting the email is saying, okay, thank you. My local accountant is doing the same thing. I don't know you. I don't really trust you. I will go with that accounting firm. So you need to deliver some specific value, and you do this by niching down, right? Why should someone work with you and not with the local firm? And another reason why you actually do, and the reason why the local firms typically do not niche down is because let's say that they serve the whole Houston area and they only work with plumbers. There are only so many plumbers in that area that they can target. So if you niche down because you want to charge a premium for your services, because you can only charge a premium if you actually deliver a lot of value, then you need to go statewide anyway. So you need to offer a specific value after you know that trust is key and you have those trust elements. Then it's time to actually niche down. So think of an industry that you maybe have some experience in or you think you will be able to serve very well. And then think of what specific value am I going to offer? And I will touch base on this later on in the video, because especially the specific value, like what specific problem am I or problems am I able to solve? So certain like law firms, for example, in some states they have three-way reconciliation. If this is something that you have a lot of experience in, that's a specific kind of value that you can provide. If you've worked with a lot of e-com companies with their inventory, that's a specific piece of value. If you have worked with real estate companies, I know that in the real estate space, a certain specific software is used often. If you have experience with that, that's the specific value that you can provide. So think of an industry and start thinking of a reason why people should work with you and not with the local accountant, because the local accountant is not delivering this specific type of value. Okay. Subscribe to the channel if you need to get more information on niching down. I'm going to just create way more videos about niching down, delivering the value, and I've created more videos already, so check them out. I will not dive too much into the niching down of this video. Okay, but then after you know that trust is key, you know how to increase trust, you find a niche to deliver specific value to, it's time to get appointments, right? So after you found a niche, like you picked a niche, you actually need to be able to find them online, of course. So you need, of course, you need to get appointments, right? To get appointments, you need to pick a specific platform or channel to get in contact with the industry, with the niche. So typically, it's either digital advertising, cold email, cold calling, and outreach. Those are the main things to get virtual clients. And with the ads, the digital ads, it's typically Meta or the Google platform. So search ads or display ads or YouTube ads, right? And you just need to figure out where your industry, where your niche is active. So as an example, we work a lot with clients that want to get e-com clients. And I know that getting e-com clients, and then we are not talking about like the 16-year-old who's drop shipping from his mama's basement, actual e-com companies that do 7 figures a year, it's a little harder to find those with meta ads. But with cold email, since those guys are typically a little younger, they are working a lot, they have their email open and they are checking their inbox quite a lot. So with cold email, you can actually find those people. But I know for a fact that if you are going to do cold calls to e-commerce companies, there's no way that you are actually going to talk to the owner, because they have people that actually take the calls if they even have a phone number. A lot of e-com companies that don't have a phone number, they have just an email. And there are softwares that you can find emails of the actual owners. That's why cold email works well, but cold calling doesn't work well. But as an example, if you talk with plumbers, I know that plumbers aren't really active on their email, but they have their phone with them, like almost always, because typically they get calls from their customers, their new clients, on, hey, I have a problem, I need a plumber, can you fix it? If you need a plumber, you call, you don't send an email because you need help as soon as possible. So you need to figure out where your industry is active. So for example, with outreach, if you are going to try to target plumbers on LinkedIn, you will probably not have that much success. So you got the niche, you know what problems you can solve, figure out where the industry is active. So just start looking on the actual platform. Can I find plumbers on this platform? With LinkedIn, sure, you can find a few, but if you start Googling them and you find their phone numbers, you have more success calling them. Or, okay, well, does it make sense, just on a logical perspective, that the plumbers that have a decent business are on the Meta platform, on Facebook, for example? Because typically those the business owners in the plumbing industry are a little older. They're probably not working 12 hours a day anymore. So yeah, I know for a fact they are actually quite active on Facebook. So in the getting appointments stage, find the niche. Then start testing messaging and start the appointment machine. So you have to offer specific value and solve a specific problem. Earlier in the video, I was saying I will touch base on this later on. So with offering specific value, this is kind of tied to the messaging, because I know, for example, that a lot of restaurants struggle with cash flow. Multiple industries, but restaurants is one of them. But they don't spend too much time on overpaying on their tax bill. It's a little part of the restaurant industry, and I'm sure that you can get clients with offering tax planning to restaurants. But I know that they are more concerned about cash flow and maybe being able to get loans for future investments. So you need to actually start testing the messaging. What specific problems am I going to solve? What specific value am I going to offer? And does my niche actually want this specific value, this specific problem to be solved? It's of course better to focus on like the top three problems to solve than the 17th problem on the list. For all of our clients, for example, at Accounting Kings, we always create a client avatar with the top five biggest pain points of that specific industry and client avatar. And client avatar and industry are two different things, because a company which is in startup mode will have different problems than a company that is doing multi seven figures a year. So you just need to find a niche, have a message, have the right messaging, and start the appointment booking machine. The thing is that if you have a very, the thing is that if you have a lot of value to offer, right? You are an expert in your field and you picked the industry, but if you then have the wrong platform with wrong messaging, you will not see success. Even if you have the right platform, so you are showing the ads to restaurants that are doing $1 million plus per year, but you have the wrong messaging, they're not going to resonate with it. So you need to actually, for example, even use ChatGPT. It's getting better and better. Just give it a lot of information about what you do. That's really important, by the way. You need to give AI a lot of info so that they can give you better information. Ask what are the top five pain points, describe your industry, describe what you can do, and then test the messaging in your cold calls, in your ads, in your cold emails and outreach. That's really, really important. And then if you found the right messaging, it's time to just start the appointment machine, because at that point it's just all about volume. If you know where to find the people, you know what they want, it's just all about showing the message to more people. If you have something, if you have a cold email that works, instead of sending it to 50 people, send it to 5,000 people. If you have an ad that works really well, instead of spending $1,000 per month, double the budget and then triple the budget until the system breaks. That's really how you scale up appointment booking machines. Now, then, this is a really important one. This is a more of a like an operational thing. So we started with the foundations, and it will get more and more operational, because if you found the right messaging niche, the problem you solve, the platform, people are going to want to talk with you. So what you then need to do, you need to automate the nurturing and the booking. The last thing you want to do is spend all day with calling people um, because they filled in a form, or sending emails manually, or still doing the cold calls. In the beginning, you may want to do this if you don't have a budget to outsource this. But if you have a team already, let's say you own an accounting firm and you're already doing multi six or seven figures, you don't want to do all of that yourself, obviously, right? You want to outsource that. So you need to automate the nurturing and the booking. If you have the right messaging, problem, industry, people want to talk with you, this is going to take too much time. So send them to a direct calendar, use certain automation softwares like Go High Level, which I recommend, to just disqualify people based on certain answers. So as an example, with Accounting Kings, we do not work with accounting firms that do not want to invest in growth, right? We want to actually deliver a lot of value. So if one of our qualifiers is, do you actually want to invest, right, in growth? If the answer is no, and it sounds obvious, but some people say, "Oh, actually, I don't really want to invest in growth. I want to grow, but I don't want to invest." Well, we have just saved ourselves an hour of talking to someone and an extra spot that someone that wants to grow can actually book. That's quite important. Okay, so that's out of the way. You found the software, you know how to actually kind of automate the nurturing, or you outsourced it. You didn't even automate, but you outsourced it. Then the next problem to actually get the virtual clients is show up and fits. And this again is also a little bit more operational, because if you book an appointment with someone that is local within your network or a referral, first of all, they are going to most likely show up until they are like part of a car crash or anything. If you have like an in-person appointment booked with someone you already know you or got referred, if you do not show up to the appointment, it will hurt your own reputation, either to the accountant, right? Because you know the person personally, or someone refers you and you hurt your reputation with the person that referred you to the accountant. So you need to realize that with the virtual clients that do not know you yet, there is not really a lot of reputation to be heard on their end if they are not going to show up to the appointment. So you need to have a good show up sequence to actually make sure that the people that actually fill in the forms and say, yes, I'm interested, I will book a call, that they actually show up. So I have a nurturing system with a confirmation, email, and SMS. Then call them a day before the appointment in the morning. If they don't pick up, call again after 12 p.m. And then if they do not pick up again, leave a voicemail. And then just make sure that a day before they get an email and SMS, and also between like an hour and 15 minutes before. So show ups with the referrals that you're probably used to, majority of them show up. With the virtual accounting clients, a good show up rate is about 65%. And you may think, well, this is very low, but and if you compare it to referrals, it's probably lower. But again, they don't really care if they show up to the meeting. They do not know you, right? It's at the end of the day, they know, okay, but this person is going to try to sell me something. And sometimes people just book a meeting out of impulse. If they see your email and they are just looking at their bank account and they are a little bit stressed about cash flow just at that second, they will say, oh yeah, you know what, yeah, I want to talk about cash flow. And then they book a meeting for 2 days after, and in that 48 hours they get a big payment of a client. Cash flow is not really something that they are worried about, and they will just not show up to the meeting. This is literally how it works. People book meetings from kind of an impulse because at that point in time they have a pain, they want to get it solved. If in the meantime something else came up that is more urgent, your appointment is not a priority anymore. So that's why we have the reminders. That's why we personalize the reminders to the industry, because they will be reminded of the value that we can deliver. And then fits with the virtual accounting clients, you will have more reach. If you are still local, probably like 100 people maybe will kind of talk about your business and kind of like think of potentially walking in the office or sending you an email. Like maybe 100 people a month will, the quality is higher, it's also less scalable. But if you are actually doing the cold emails, the ads, the outreaches, thousands of people are actually going to see your business and think of, hey, do I actually need this service? But in those 1,000 people, there are a lot of people that you don't want to work with. So that's why you actually want to qualify people. You want to ask them quite some questions on if this person is actually a fit for your company, because there will become a point in the appointment booking machine where you have too many meetings. So, for example, for clients of mine, there was a point where we were booking so many appointments for a client, like multiple a day, but a big percentage of that wasn't really what we were looking for. So you need to think of questions to actually disqualify people. Typical questions that we ask is, do you confirm you will show up to the meeting from a computer? If they say no, and we make it clear also in there that if the answer is no, that the appointment will cancel. Some people actually say no, and it's directly something that I know, okay, well, this person is not serious. Another question is, are you willing to invest in digital accounting services if you see a clear ROI? If they do not want to invest, disqualify. Um, if you use specific software, are you already using QuickBooks? And if no, are you willing to switch to QuickBooks Online? And if the answer is no, disqualified. Those are those couple of questions that you can ask. So if you followed all of those tips and you followed the steps, then you will book meetings. And the only thing that you have to worry about now is sales. So I touched base on this already a little bit with the show ups, but you really need to realize, and I'm talking with my clients every day about this, people that are digital are not as warm as referrals. And I want you to think of your sales conversion rate right now. Just, I'm talking to like you personally watching this video. What is your sales conversion rate with the potential clients that you talk to right now? Just pause the video, think of, okay, from the last 10 people that walked in my door, send me an email, scheduled a meeting with me, what percentage of that converted with my services? I can already tell you that if this percentage is above 50%, there's a very, 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 very high chance that you will struggle a little bit in the beginning with selling to people that are virtual. And the reason for this is because if you have a sales conversion rate that is higher than 50%, either your pricing is too low and you will have a lot of trouble with actually scaling the business, but the highest chance is that all of your clients that you needed to sell to are from referrals. And typically, a referral already decided to work with you before they actually walked in your door. With a digital client, they do not know, like, and trust you yet, right? They are probably pretty skeptical, although that you used the trust tips. They're pretty skeptical, and you really need to actually realize that there is a lot more effort required to convert that person. That brings me to this point over here. Actively selling. You need to do a better job of actively selling your service. If you join a Zoom meeting, and I see this with a lot of my clients, and I always need to tell this, if you join a meeting and one of the first questions is, how can I help you? What do you want? It's not going to work. And you probably think, well, why? Because they schedule this meeting because they want something from me. With people that reach out to you, yes, because they needed to do a lot of effort in researching, asking friends, because they take the action to actively, proactively search for you and book a meeting with you. Well, if you are doing the ads and the outreaches, it was all interruption. You kind of pitched then something that they had a little bit of an interest in. They didn't have to do that much action. They just need to say, okay, yes, Wednesday, 10 a.m., I can probably have a meeting with you. They send it back the email or they book the appointment online. Takes them a minute and then they continue on with their day. So you actually need to start asking more questions about the selling, about their problems, not specifically with cash flow, but what is their cash flow actually causing? I don't I don't want to go into too much depth about this because I actually recently recorded a video on how I do the selling. Um, the video is called How I Sell Accounting Services with Zero Accounting Expertise, something around those lines. So if you want more information about that, check out the video. But you need to realize that with the cold audience, you actively need to sell. And it's not that you have to be like a sleeky car salesperson. You just have to ask the right question and solve the specific problem and explain the value. Okay, so if you realize this, now it's time to follow up. Um, this may trigger you, but if you have the perception that if you need to follow up on a lead that they're not really interested, you are going to lose at this game of getting virtual clients outside of your network. The reason for this is because the people, although that they say, oh yeah, I'm interested, I will think about it, they just simply do not trust you enough. And it's fine because everybody knows there are scammers out there. Um, but if you are not following up on them, if you're not sending them emails for a couple of weeks and giving them a few calls, they will try to talk to some others. Maybe they're not entirely convinced at the time of you having a meeting with them, because I will stick with the cash flow example. They were worried about cash flow. They got the payment. Cash flow is not really a really big thing that they're worried about anymore. But then if you keep following up on them and they have the problem again, they just had a big expense come up and they check their bank account again and they have that little bit of a concern and fear about cash flow again, then if you keep emailing them at least like every 48 working hours for the first few weeks and then once a week with an email letter, you will always be on top of their inbox and on top of their mind. And if they then have this problem again, this feeling and concern, and they have the worry about cash flow again, and you send them that email again, or SMS message, or message on LinkedIn or Facebook, then the chances of them becoming a client are way higher. Because again, people book those meetings from an impulse with virtual clients, right? So the follow-up is very, very important. And then onboarding. So this is a big one. In the beginning, when we actually started to sell for the accounting firms, what we will do is we collect payment for the service. We have a system where we get the upfront payment, and then we schedule a meeting in the calendar of the accountant for like a week later. We have to create a proposal and a whole plan. And then in the meantime, the business owner gets worried because they paid money online. They didn't get anything else in return yet because the accountant still needs to deliver the work and that creates time. And they get worried, concerned, and they send an email, like, what is going on here? I'm a little bit fearful, like, I haven't received anything. And sometimes in the beginning, people will even request a refund because they just get worried about getting scammed. That's why the trust is very important. So onboarding is so important with the digital clients. You need to have a lot of contact with them. Um, Make sure that you still, even after you got payment, but you haven't actually delivered the service yet, because you want to get upfront money, by the way, because that's the only way for someone to actually show, hey, I want to do this. Um, Even if they paid you money, you have to still do a good job of actively selling that you are a legit company and that the money that they spend is well spent before you actually deliver the service, the proposal, and the plan. Um, Long story short, I already created a video on this with the selling video. Sell an intro offer so that you can actually get them fast savings, create a better proposal. But in this period, what you actually need to do is get in contact with them more often. Hey, I have your documents here. Is there anything else that you want to share? Hey, I'm actually creating your plan right now. I have a couple of findings. Was there also anything else that you are concerned about? Give them updates on what you are doing, so that they don't really have the concern of, hey, I spent money. I haven't really gotten anything in return. I haven't heard from this company in a week. What is going on? That's really important also. And then the organic growth, because right, if you want to get virtual clients, that's not in your network most likely. So you are going to do more efforts with the outreach and the ads, but probably there comes a stage in your business where you also just want to have organic growth because you have this appointment booking machine. Now it's just time for organic growth, right? Simply ask for referrals. This is really important. I actually have a client of mine, which I did an interview with, Victoria, is also on the YouTube channel, where she works with law firms. And we actually had to pause her ads, the appointment booking machine, because she was getting a lot of referrals from the law firms. She actually helped those law firms with three-way reconciliation. And she got a few clients from our ads outside her network, digital clients, and all of the law firms that had the issue with the three-way reconciliation referred more clients to her. And this is simply because it's a big problem that a lot of the law firms have. They are struggling to find someone that can actually solve it, again, specific value. It's just like the referrals are all just simply coming in, and those are all the ideal clients. So if you get your first virtual client using those tips that I outlined above, just ask for a referral. Hey, I like. Do you think that I did a good job with actually doing like a three-way reconciliation and actually serving you in a proper way? Hopefully, the answer is yes. Great. Do you maybe know some other law firms that had the same issue that you had before, which I can help? And you will be surprised if you just ask it that way, that they're always going to say yes. Just ask for the phone number, give them a call, and you will be able to get a lot of referrals this way. And then this is really how you get the ideal clients on autopilot. Like the beginning is a little harder with getting virtual clients. The same thing with getting clients that are outside of your network. But yeah, if you reach this point where you have your first couple of digital clients and you finally opened yourself to the network of these types of companies, that's really where you get your ideal clients in autopilot. You get an increase in referrals from virtual clients that where you helped someone already in their network with solving that specific problem. And then last but not least, if you get to this stage where your digital clients are referring people on autopilot, then the next problem that you need to solve is, what new car am I going to buy? Because if you actually get to this stage, you can provide more value to your digital clients. So your overhead shrinks because you don't really have to get a huge office anymore. You can just work from home, get a smaller office, right? Um, so margins increase, but you can charge more because you actually deliver more value. So the next thing you have to solve is, what new car am I going to buy? Because you have just made so much more money than before. This is the exact process that we followed with all of our clients that we actually, the accountants that we help to get clients of virtual meetings, virtual clients for. So if you are an accountant and you want to get virtual clients more that you enjoy working with, there's a link in the description. You can click on to book a meeting with me or my team to just learn how this works, always in a way where we only profit if you profit too. If you have specific questions that you want to get answered, leave them in the comments, like and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any other videos, and I will see you in the next one.